They say you got to take the wins as you get them. And I think today for democracy, it was a great day. It's April 1st, and that's no April Fool. It's today was the special elections in the state of Florida, and of course the very important election in the Wisconsin Supreme Court. But of course, there's other news out there in the world today. We'll get to the elections in just a moment. I want to, I guess, send my kudos out to Senator Cory Booker, the New Jersey senator, as he held the floor in the U.S. Senate for over 25 hours, which was the longest ever. We'll call it a filibuster, even though he wasn't blocking any passage of bills or votes or anything like that. But he stood the floor for 25 hours and I think like 6 minutes, maybe. It was close to that. And it was just a great display of patriotism from a man who is willing and able to fight for everything that truly makes this country actually great. And he's making a statement, and hopefully it leads to a broader sense of purpose to the whole Democratic coalition. I mean, I'm doing this. I mean, that was inspiring to me personally, and it makes me want to get in the fight as well. So I want to be able to help carry other voices out there and have these discussions and try to build up our country back to where we know it can be. And what we can do just from the ground level is really important, as you saw in the special elections today throughout the country. Of course, there's other elections for local elections, and in my state specifically, I had the chance to go vote today, so took care of my democratic process as well. But of course, want to touch on the actual nationwide focused elections. Two, of course, were for special elections due to vacancies in the Florida districts because of nominations to the cabinet for the presidency this year. And of course, the resignation of distant, that one, I'm not even going to say his name, but from Florida, the would-be Attorney General of the United States, who was so disgraced that he had to withdraw from that because of all the investigations that were taking place within his own House of Representatives. So his seat was up for grabs today, as was Mike Waltz's seat, both in the state of Florida. We also saw Elise Stefanik's UN ambassador nomination get pulled because of how in trouble some of these seats might have been. The Florida seats were in safe red districts, but of course, overperformance was in the cards. We saw the Pennsylvania election last week that flipped to Democrats, so Republicans are starting to get a little bit worried here, and for good reason too. So just going over the 6th district of Florida, of course, Florida won Republicans won both of these seats. They maintained control of those, again, safe red districts, but Waltz and Trump both carried this district by about 30 points in November, just 6 months later. Randy Fine, who is now the representative in Florida for the 6th district, only won by 14 points, so nearly half of that lead was cut in half today. Strong Democratic turnout, great representation down there. Of course, safe seat for Republicans, but still very, very impressive. But even more impressive was in Matt Gaetz's former seat. He won by about 32 points. Trump also carried it by almost 40. And the win there is about almost the same margin of victory from we saw in the other district, as Jimmy Patronis ended up winning that seat by 15 points. So again, a seat that had almost double the amount back in November, cut in half. So impressive showing out there. And of course, the big win of the day out in the great state of Wisconsin. Go Packers. Wisconsin came through today. Big Supreme Court race between Brad Schimel and Susan Crawford to determine the balance of the Supreme Court when it comes to ideology lines. A lot of things are on the ballot. Of course, you had abortion back on the ballot, and the most important thing when it comes to the nationwide thing is the potential redistricting of the districts in the state of Wisconsin. Gerrymandering's been a big issue, and the Supreme Court handles that in the state of Wisconsin, and Susan Crawford came out swinging. I know votes are still being tallied. I want to get the latest that I have at this moment. And we saw a near 10-point victory for Susan Crawford. So we're looking at about 12:38 Eastern time. 54.4% comes through for Miss Crawford, and then Brad Schimel with about a 45.6. Estimated vote in is about 95%, so pretty close to being all tallied in, and it was called early. I believe it was about 10 Eastern time that CNN and MSNBC were calling this race in favor of Crawford. So huge win there. Of course, he had a lot of money pouring in from the likes of Elon Musk. Of course, he had his visit over the weekend to the state of Wisconsin. Big win for the Democrats in Wisconsin, specifically Susan Crawford with a huge win over Brad Schimel. And Schimel conceded. It sounded like he was very humble is not the right word, but he was very cordial, I guess, in the concession speech. I believe someone had mentioned, someone was pointing out in the crowd that, it was rigged, blah, blah, blah. And Schimel was like, no, all the votes counted. She won. So good on him for that. Good on the state of Wisconsin for coming out to vote today and to take care of business. Your votes matter, especially in these off election years too, because this is how things get started, and this is how things can dramatically shift the big elections come every 4 years or even every 2 years when it comes to your general elections with the U.S. representatives and, of course, the Senate seats that are up every 6 years as well. So big win across a lot of different things. Of course, in the House, the U.S. House, one point on this too is that there was a vote today to allow for remote voting for new mothers and new fathers. And the GOP, Mike Johnson, they thought they were going to have this struck down. Several Republicans actually joined the entire Democratic caucus to get that passed, to make sure that if you're a new mother or new father, you still have the ability to vote on bills that are presented in the House. So good job all around. Big day. Even on April Fool's Day, good things can happen. Tomorrow, we'll see if tariffs get put in. But for now, we'll celebrate these wins that we got today. So let me know what you are most excited about here on April 1st, 2025. And, it's nice to win one, really is.